Hi, I'm Tina Vesely. I'm a psychic medium and spiritual advisor. I have professionally been assisting people on their journey for over 30 years. My first time that I've recognized, reviewing my life in the past, the first time I've communicated with spirit verbally was when I was 3 years old. And I gave a message to a loved one in my family, which was validated later on. In my family, majority of my family had that ability and would communicate with people who had passed on. And it was just like an everyday thing. So if I was playing with my Barbies or my, little racing cars or whatever it was, and a deceased person popped up, I would just end up mentioning it to whoever the adult was. They never showed a big response. So for me, it was basically normal. It wasn't like, oh, honey, oh, is that a monster in your bed? There's nobody that, I didn't experience that. If something frightened me a bit and my mother came into my room, basically my mother would tell that spirit to go away and things would calm down and I'd be able to go to sleep. Or we would say a prayer of some sort or like that. But for me, for all those years, it was normal until I hit teenager years. And that's where I first started to get visions and see things that weren't as pleasant. So sometimes when the kids are in puberty, the adolescence, spirits that come around them can actually it could be like a little bit more for me it was I was able to see a young girl raped, and that was a vision that I experienced standing next to a woman. It flashed by me the whole story, and if you get to know me, you get to know the whole story about that. But the mom was standing right next to me, and later on I ended up assisting her with that. But then as I had about 3 different experiences where things were hostile like that or violent, I basically had told my creator at that point I wanted nothing to do with this. And I prayed and prayed that I didn't have that ability anymore. And then about a year or 2 later, I had gone on my first date with my ex-husband. And for those couple years, it was quiet. I didn't get to see anybody else's stuff, except for my own family. I could still sense them around me, or they would give me signs. And as my ex-husband and I were driving on our first date, Spirit came right back to me and had warned me that the marriage wouldn't last. And after that point, Spirit just hasn't left ever since. And I didn't see myself as a medium for many years. In my opinion, I just knew stuff, or I talked to dead people. And I know that sounds kind of rough, but I guess maybe for my own brain or something, I never really analyzed it. But it was just talking to dead people. It was just something normal. And then later on in 2008, I had opened up a metaphysical store in Milford, Pennsylvania. And at the store, this woman came in, the first person who wanted a session with me, because by that time I was doing, tarot cards and doing intuitive tarot readings for people. My tarot readings basically consisted of me shuffling the cards, and when I laid out the cards, I basically told you about your deceased loved ones. And I still wasn't a medium to myself at that point. So what ended up happening was this woman sat down, I gave her messages from her loved ones who passed, and she did ask me what the card said. I told her, and she told me I was a medium. Now, this woman never had a reading, never experienced a tarot reading, anything. And I'm like, I'm not a medium. I'm trying to become one. There's things I want to learn to be a medium. She goes, well, what do you think you do? And I said, I talk to dead people. And she goes, well, a medium, that's what they do. From what I know, and I don't know this, but mediums communicate with people who passed away. I'm like, yeah, but I talk to dead people, so. And it was just my logic. And she had walked out the store and we were chuckling, and I was going to look into this medium stuff more. And when we walked out of the store, my husband, he's my second husband, Jerry, and Jerry and I, we were outside, and he said, I've been telling you for years you're a medium. Now, some of you may know James Van Praagh. I did take a couple of his workshops, and I used to write down all these notes that he said, and Jerry would take the class with me, and he would say, see, you do that already, and you do that already, and that, and I'm like, no, I don't do that. So I really second guessed myself. I just, like I said, talk to dead people. But when this woman who never experienced any form of reading ever, when she came and told me I was a medium, it took me that long, which was well over 10 years, for me to actually realize I was a medium. And then I started to look into it, and I started to say, wow, I do this. And I gave myself, finally accredited myself with it. And since 2008, my client base has gone all over the world and throughout all 50 states of our country. So it's just interesting, and it was through word of mouth that people hear about me. But I never knew that label, or it didn't fit in until then. And a lot of us go through self-doubt and second guess. Still, just because that woman had come into my life, her name was Jean, and had told me I was a medium, that didn't mean anything in a big sense, because I still did my tarot readings. And what my husband did at that time was, Jerry used to tell clients who made appointments that, tell her you don't like tarot cards. And so they would come, they're expecting a tarot reading, but they would tell me they didn't want tarot cards. And I'd give them a message from Spirit and tell them everything they wanted to know, but utilizing Spirit to tell me. And then one day I had a young lady come in, and she came in and she said, oh, I don't like cards. And she was a bit nervous, and she sat down and she said, I gave her all her messages, I answered her questions, and she goes, can you tell me what the cards have to say? Because I really wanted a card reading. Everything you said is what I needed to know, but I want to know what do these cards look like? And I'm like, I could have done that from the beginning. She goes, oh no, your husband said that to tell you that you don't like, that she doesn't like tarot cards. And I was like, what? And so from that point on, I just put my cards to the side, and I just started working with people, utilizing all of the abilities that I was born with to assist people on their journey. So you could go through a lot of self-doubt and guessing and like that, and people who are very close to you, whether it's friends, spouses, family, until something clicks within inside of you that you have that faith and that trust. You know, you could take classes all you want. It depends on when that thing clicks within you, where you're trusting yourself to allow that to happen. And ever since then, that's how I've been able to help people grow in their lives on a daily basis. That's what I do.